Hello, lovelies. Today I want to talk to you about shrinkage, and this is kind of just a random thing that came to mind because I experience it. I think everyone with curly hair or natural hair will experience shrinkage at some point in their life or all the time. I see a lot of hair videos, hair tutorials of how to avoid shrinkage, how to prevent it, how to lengthen your hair through other means just to combat shrinkage. But in all honesty, shrinkage is inevitable. You can't avoid it, you can't resist it, and it's not a bad thing. I want to continue to promote, just being yourself, living a healthy lifestyle, having a healthy hair, lifestyle, and just kind of accept who you are, because that's how God created you. And if you don't believe in God, that's just how the makers wanted to, form you. This is you. It's your body. Of course, you can always, enhance certain things if you want a change and you're kind of tired of the same look, something different. But I never want it to be like anything negative behind the reason why you're doing these changes or these enhancements or whatever it may be. Everyone's hair is different. Everyone has different textures, whether it be 3C or 4B or 4C, or I don't even understand this whole complex letter number system going on with hair. For me, it's just always been hair is hair. Some people might have more coarse hair, or really, really tight, coily curls. Some might have really super loose, flowing curls. Some might have that super defined, just natural curls that you see on TV and in movies. It varies. It varies from day to day. It varies from what products you use. It varies from whether you're having a good hair day or not so great hair day. The weather impacts, how your hair turns out, how it sits, how you style it. Just I don't even know. I don't even know what to say. There's just so many different components to what makes your hair the way it is and why it's like that. I just wanted you to kind of see the difference, because you've seen many videos of mine where my hair looks and appears much longer, but there's also days where, like today, it was really hot. It wasn't that humid, but it's just my hair shrinks and it looks shoulder length, but it's pretty long. So you're not the only one. If you don't know what shrinkage is, basically when you have natural curly hair and it's longer and more flowing and just more stretched out when it is wet and or moisturized, and as it dries it will shrink, hence the word shrinkage. For some, it might just end up being even tighter, coilier curls, or you might just end up with a ball of fuzz like I experience. There can be two causes for shrinkage. For one, the main 100%, basically the only reason really, is just when your hair loses that moisture. That doesn't mean that it's unhealthy. It actually is healthy to experience shrinkage. That means your hair is absorbing the moisture and distributing it properly, and it shows that it has elasticity. If your hair does not shrink after it dries, that means there might be some damage or just, I don't know. The second reason is also if you're not detangling your hair properly, or just taking out the knots and stuff, that might hinder your curls from falling and setting. That definitely 100% is my case for today. I did not comb my hair at all. I had to rush and leave this morning while my hair was wet and moisturized. I put conditioner in. I just scrunched it in my hair and left, and by the end of the day it's just shrunk. Now I didn't detangle or take out the knots and stuff in my hair, and also it lost a lot of moisture because it's hot outside, but that doesn't mean that it's dry. It's hard to explain. But on the bright side of hair shrinkage, it definitely makes your hair more voluminous. It gives it just more volume and kind of appears thicker. It definitely feels and moves lighter, and it's not really weighed down or heavy or just, you know, kind of in the way. Sometimes, like when your hair is straight or when you have a lot of products in your hair that weighs it down, it just, you feel it. But when your hair shrinks and like it absorbs everything that you already put in it and it's just, you know, doing its own thing, it feels really happy and free. Though it does move in unison, there's no like separate, like, we all move as one on these strands, but it still moves and it's just, it feels lighter. I'm kind of at the point in my life where it's just like, you know I'm doing everything I can for my hair. I know my hair is happy. I know my hair is healthy. I know it's moisturized. I know I'm oiling it the proper way. I know I'm using, you know, the least amount of, you know, harmful products in my hair, and, you know, adding more of the good, nutritious things to my scalp and my hair. I'm eating right, and, you know, I'm living a life over here, health-wise, in regards of my hair. So I know what I'm doing. And even though sometimes my hair might not reflect all of what I'm doing, and it might not show the growth that it's experiencing, I know exactly, you know, what it's gone through and what it's going through and, you know, what it is. So I no longer kind of have that kind of insecurity, I guess, with my hair, you know, shrinking and looking like it's not growing or it's not doing anything, because I know that it is, and I know it's working hard. In the past, when I was younger, I hated when my hair shrunk, and I don't really know exactly why I cared so much of why it shrank. I guess because I knew I had long hair, and, you know, I loved my long hair, and whenever it was curly, it would like shrink up, and then it wouldn't be as long as I know it could be. And also, it didn't look like others that I've seen in person or on TV. And I've always wanted, you know, those type of curls, and I always wanted my hair to fall, you know, a certain length while it was curly, and like be that length because I thought it was gorgeous, and like, you know, the way you style your hair was like super cute. Yeah, I never liked it. And even to this day, I mean, I understand that it shrinks. Like, there's nothing I can do about it. It will always shrink. It's just, I just have to hope for my hair to get longer, so when it does shrink, it'll at least, you know, kind of look longer. I've always wanted my hair curly, like to the middle of my back, like sitting. That ain't gonna happen unless my hair is like 4 feet long. Even to this day, I don't mind when it does shrink, but I feel like it has to shrink a certain way, or else it's gonna drive me nuts. And that's like the minor OCD that I have. Like, if it's gonna shrink, whatever, but just be even about it. And a lot of the issue that I have with shrinkage, and when my hair actually does dry, if it's just, you know, wet and I let it air dry as is, if I'm wearing an outfit or something, or if I have a jacket on, a lot of times my hair will sit on top of like where the hood is, and then by the time it dries, it stays in that same spot. Whereas like if I have hair, you know, going over my shoulders, it sits a lot longer than the back, or it depending on how my hair sits on my shoulder, sometimes it'll be like this, and like that's just how it is for the rest of the day. Or like even here you can kind of see like in this spot, or if I move it, like these front pieces will be longer than like what's rubbing on higher spots. So that's the only thing that kind of gets on my nerves with shrinkage at this point for me. But again, I accept who my hair is, and I love it either way. I'm kind of just getting more and more used to it, and I'm really glad that I am. It's just a lot easier and less stress to worry about. It always amazed me at the level and amount of shrinkage some people go through. Some people, they might experience like a little bit of shrinkage, like their hair will dry and it'll only shrink like maybe like an inch or two, and some it'll go from, you know, being like 10 inches long to like 4. My sister is a good example of that. Her hair was always super, super long, but her hair would shrink. And it would shrink really, really short, but once you would pull it, it would keep going. For me, my hair picks and chooses how much it wants to shrink depending on the day, and also how much damage accumulated, because when I did, put a lot of heat and color and, just not really cared about my hair, the curls kind of dropped more and more, and whenever it dried, it would stay there. And of course, with heat damage, your hair ends up straightening itself, and that's where you can tell it's damaged. And so the ends of my hair would be like really straight, so when it would dry, it just would be the length that it is, and that meant my curls didn't really exist. Therefore, my natural hair wasn't healthy. So that's why I kind of embrace the shrinkage, because I know I'm doing good, I'm on the right track, I'm on the right path. Another pet peeve I used to have about shrinkage, which is why I kind of hated it, because I always had to kind of explain myself to the dum-dums who just don't use common sense. This mostly was when I was younger, in middle school or even high school. My hair would be curly, and it would always, shrink to a certain length. And then of course when I straighten it, everyone's like, oh, you have weave in your hair. Your hair was much shorter than this. And I'm like, what was my hair yesterday? And they're like, a curl. I'm like, what do curls do? What's the formation of a curl? What happens when you pull on it? And they're like, oh, it gets longer. I'm like, there you go, stupid. I would have to constantly kind of explain. I'm like, my hair's curly. It shrinks when it's curly. It's just shorter when it's curly. And then of course when you straighten it, it's going to be much longer than, the length that it is. So here right now it stops here, but in reality it's underneath my bra. Some people might be ashamed, they might be embarrassed about it having short hair, or they might be teased about it, saying that they don't really have any hair, when in all reality you got plenty of hair, and it's thick. So regardless of anything, if they end up losing 100 strands of hair, and you lose 100 strands, it still looks like you have endless amount of hair compared to someone who loses that same amount and looks like they're balding. So they can go somewhere. And I guess the media always pushes the long hair, luxurious hair, and even with curly natural hair, it's always long, or it's always super defined curls and flowing and bouncing and moving. When they use their diffuser, this is full, beautiful, vivacious, robust curls, and you're sitting at home with a fuzzball like mine, why can't my hair do that? The camera died, and I think I was saying, yeah, just a friendly reminder that everyone's hair is different. Everyone has different hair textures, hair patterns, what it chooses to do, and humidity, what it chooses to do on a dry day, what it chooses to do while it rains. It's just, it is what it is. So don't lose yourself or lose your mind stressing about it. But if you absolutely hate your hair shrinking, and you really, really want, or you need it to be longer, or you just kind of want to change something different, you want to lengthen your hair just a little bit, there are things that you can do. For one, you can do finger stretching, which is just kind of pulling on your hair to make it a little bit longer. If I kind of tug on my hair as much as possible, it's going to be longer than this side. You can already see the difference of just kind of tugging and pulling on your hair, not pulling it out or anything. You're gentle. I'm gentle. You wouldn't want to give yourself a headache, but you can see the difference of the length of doing finger stretching compared to nothing at all. Now I have to do the other side because it's gonna bother me. That's the only thing that I hate. I need it all to be even. If you're gonna look crazy in unison. And if you're gonna look nice, thanks. We'll see how long that lasts, but just do it all together. The next thing you can do, you can use flexi rods or roller sets and just kind of use that to wrap your hair around it and allow it to dry. If you want to sit under the dryer, you can, or if you want to, you know, go to sleep and wait until it's completely dried and you pull it out, then your curls will fall a little bit longer, or could be a lot longer. I don't know your hair. You know your hair, so you'll know how far or how long it'll drop. Banding is another method a lot of people do, which is just kind of either taking hair ties or maybe a ribbon or a cloth or whatever and kind of wrapping your hair around it and, you know, leaving that overnight or for a while until your hair kind of dries and it sets, and then when you take it out, it'll end up the length of wherever it stops. African threading is another thing. I actually just found out about it, so I'm not really experienced, so you're just gonna have to kind of look that up online, but it's another method that you can do. My personal favorite is braiding, like doing a braid out, or you can do a twist out. I would always braid my hair at night, and when I wake up in the morning, my hair wouldn't have the same curl pattern as if I were to allow it to, you know, air dry and curl the way it's really supposed to curl, but the pattern it does leave is pretty nice. So if it's kind of wet or if I wash my hair, I'll braid it, and then the next day I'll leave that braid for a hairstyle for the whole day, and then the day after that my hair is completely dry. When I take it out, I might add a little bit of conditioner and it will look really nice, and then, you know, 2 days after that or a day after that, it's like perfect curls. And then of course all the moisture is like gone and it's time to re-moisturize and rehydrate, and then I do it all over again. Another method to stretch out your hair is, you know, putting your hair in a bun. I don't necessarily like doing that because when I pull my hair back in a bun, especially if I do it as a style and then I just kind of like leave it, my hair ends up straightening and, like, you know, however I brush it. If I actually like really brushed my hair flat and it dries, if I take it out, it's gonna be straight, and then the back will be like, you know, the indent from the hair tie that I'd use, and then the bottom would be like kind of weird wavy. If you style it properly, it'll look nice, but I'm not necessarily a fan of, you know, doing the bun thing. And finally, there's a bunch of hair products out there that you can use to help define your curls and lengthen or kind of just stop shrinkage and kind of prevent it as much as possible. Of course, I always do use hair products, but I don't like to use that many, and I don't like it weighing down my hair because the longer your hair gets, the more it sits on your clothes, and if it's more of an oily product, it'll mess up your clothes. It might be an issue if you like to wear light colors, so you don't want to kind of damage or ruin whatever your hair sits on, or if you sit back and there's a couch behind you or something, you might end up being self-conscious about your hair products rubbing off onto it and you're leaving a big, like, you know, oil spot like in the movie. So I guess it's just, you gotta find a lot of balance and, you know, pick what works best for you, and just ultimately kind of try and love and accept your hair the way it is. And once you do that, then you're good to go with however way you want it to be. Basically, you don't want it to be a big deal if, you know, you can't get it the right way that you want it. I don't know. I guess you just, you know, you accept it if it just sits the way it sits and you're still fine and you're still happy with it, and it's not a big deal. It's just, you know, that extra cherry on top when it does do what you want it to do. This was just kind of a thought that crossed my mind, so I apologize for kind of randomly talking you to death. But yeah. Anyways, thanks for kind of sitting and hanging out with me for a little bit and letting me kind of think out loud a little bit. There wasn't really anything to vent about, but I just kind of remembered that I used to hate how my hair would shrink, and I would hate how it would be and how it would look. And now when I look at it, I'm just like, it looks thick, it looks happy, and it looks healthy. So I am all good, and I hope you are too. So I guess with that being said, please don't forget to click that subscribe button and give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed. And have a wonderful night, morning, evening, or afternoon, whenever you're watching, and I'll see you lovelies next time.